Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 347, or if you're a Mind Mastery member, and by the way, Mind Mastery, check out episode 435. I've got a perfect process for you about how to remain strong and centered in any situation. So any negative people, I'll got you covered right there. So for Mind Mastery members, this is episode 436. Now, if you want to be a Mind Mastery member even, go to josephclough.info/mindmastery, and that means you have an opportunity to personally work with me, and that means you get your result, you get your outcome, and you let go of the things which are holding you back. Now, in today's episode, I want to talk to you about how our issues can really help us. Sounds very counterintuitive, but I've had a crazy week, so I think I was on like 5 planes in 6 days. And first I went to New York, and then I flew back home to then the very next day fly out to Boise, Idaho to speak at the Unstoppable Influence Summit, which was really, really awesome. And what the summit was all about is it's really for entrepreneurs. And as you know, that is something that I'm very, very keen in who I coach personally. So I work with lots of entrepreneurs to get the unlimited mind to be able to hit their goals, targets, and get paid what they're worth, while simultaneously serving the world to a whole new level. So there I am, and I'm reflecting about my journey a little bit, because I was on stage, and I guess there was about 150, 200 people there, and I was one of the keynote speakers, alongside some awesome, like, New York Times bestsellers and everything. So it was a real big honor and privilege. And I don't say that to impress you, but to impress upon you that when I think about where I am in my life, now, of course, there's always things that I'm working on, I'm improving on, I'm always educating myself. It's a lifestyle. It's like going to the gym. You just don't go once. It is an enjoyable process of continually learning and expanding your consciousness to a whole new level, which gets you more of what you want. And I love that, right? And just before I'm getting out of my talk, I sometimes get, I would probably say not nervousness, but more anticipation. Because ultimately, right, I am an introvert. So I like being at home, working for myself in my office, in my recording studio, and doing my online coaching, obviously one-to-ones and the retreats and everything like that as well. But more often than not, I just like being by myself or a small group of people to be able to get the outcomes that they want. But of course, I do speaking gigs for companies and for other people, and it's something that I really thrive upon. And that's where it gets really weird, because I'm an introvert. Yet, put me on a stage, put me in front of 100 people, 200 or 500 people, and I light up. And that is a far big difference from how I used to be, where it be at school, where it be an 18-year-old. I was absolutely petrified of being in front of people. I was worried, I was anxious, I had that dread, I wouldn't be able to sleep very well. It really got in my way. But what I realized, and I hope you get this by now, if not, pay attention, my friend. I want you to realize, and I was actually speaking about this partially on the speaking gig. Now, if you're a Mind Mastery member, I hope to get the video of this masterclass for you. But I touched upon the whole notion that whatever you're experiencing right now, so you might be experiencing money issues, you might experience business issues, you might be struggling to serve your customers, or in your relationship, in your health, you might be experiencing worries and anxieties and doubts and limiting beliefs about yourself. But I want you to realize this. If it were not for my issues that I personally experienced, without a shadow of a doubt, I would not be doing what I am today, which has allowed me to live the most phenomenal life that I absolutely love each and every day. You see, that anxiety, that self-critical talk, that internal battle, each and every day I suffered for 18 years of my life, which caused me, in a way, to not perform at school, drop out of college, have bad relationship, have bad health or eating associations. All of that issue, all of the symptoms that I experienced, caused me to awaken to my potentiality. So I want you to consider this. I want you to consider that your issue that you experience right now, number one, can be your greatest instigator. And number two is still your very best friend. Now, if we take number two right from the beginning, you're going, what, Joseph? Are you flipping crazy? How is anxiety? How is depression? How is not achieving my success in my business and all those other situations actually my friend? Well, I want you to realize that the thing which is running your issue is your unconscious mind. That's all it is, right? Because if you could consciously change, you would have by now. And if you cannot, it must mean that there's something happening on the inside, which of course is your unconscious mind, which has been programmed from significant emotional events, which have created these emotional wounds, these limiting decisions, and these decisions which have then become habits in your life as a way of being, like anxiety as a habit, depression as a habit. It's just become like a full-time thing or a part-time thing. Now, the thing which runs that, your unconscious mind, is there to support you. It is there to help you. It's there to protect you. It is your protector. So if you're experiencing things like chronic fatigue, if you're experiencing things like self-doubt, or whatever the issue is, your body is trying, and I'm emphasizing the word trying, to keep you safe. A phobia tries to keep you safe. Does it inappropriately though, right? Things like anger is where we feel as if our values have been crossed, and therefore we respond in anger. A protection mechanism. If you consider things like low self-esteem, it tries to keep you in your comfort zone so you don't look silly, you don't fail, and all those things, right? Protection mechanism. Everything, every issue, even things like addictions, because that is escapism from our present situation, is all trying to help us and really protect us in some form or another. Now, another example, and you'll know this one deeply, I'm sure. So, I've been the most crazy, busiest person that I know right now, okay? I am doing so much, and that thought was playing on my mind. I had all these trips lined up, the speaking gigs, the obviously mind mastery and creating hypnosis tracks to people, like the custom tracks, and this little nagging thought was in my mind, and I didn't catch it on time. An expert, not being able to catch it, but we're all human, right? This nagging thought was, I just want to relax. I just want to stop for a minute. That was that little thought in my mind, because I felt as if I was doing so much and I didn't have enough time for myself. And guess what happened? My wonderful best friend, my most amazing supporter, my unconscious mind, my defender, my protector of my system and my life, which runs a fight and flight response to healing of the body and all these crazy cool things within me, the habits, the strategies, did one thing. I got ill. That's right. I was so busy, I was getting run down, and my unconscious mind saying, look, if you're not going to stop, I'm going to stop you right in your tracks and cause you to just hold up for a second. And you'll know this, right? Because when you feel not only out of time or if you're feeling stressed, your body will produce symptoms for you to pay attention to. And if you don't pay attention to those symptoms, guess what? They get bigger and better, or not necessarily better, bigger and worse to get you to stop. Everything that your body is producing right now is a signal. Anxiety, a signal. Fear, a signal. Anger, sadness, fear, guilt, hurt, self-talk. These are all signals that we must pay attention to. But we've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to numb it out, to not listen. We may hear it, we may experience it, but we're not paying attention to what is really happening. And by listening, I mean doing something about it, actually my body's here to try to tell me something, it's trying to do something for me. And it can be any situation. It is a signal from our system because it feels, for whatever reason, it's trying to protect you. It's trying to keep you safe. Now, the problem is, it's doing it in a misguided, overwhelming, inappropriate, unwarranted way that stops you in your tracks. As I said, anxiety does not keep you safe. It doesn't make you feel good, but it is trying to. And I always like the analogy of you coming home, let's just say you have a child, and they've done this amazing picture for you, but it so happens to be a painting on your bright wall in your living room. And you kind of think, I could get really angry here. And I won't, because it is a child. It is a child who tried to paint me a picture. It didn't know it had to be on that piece of paper. It didn't have the conscious wisdom, the ability to know the difference between good and bad when it comes to painting on a piece of paper in comparison of painting on a wall. Now, if you berated that child and you shouted, you abused and really hit and all those things, you would be a monster, right? Of course you would. But the other option would be just to ignore that signal. Just let it do it. And then the child just keeps on doing it each and every day until it's a habit, until they're doing the Picasso paintings and Michelangelo paintings around your whole house, right? It would keep on doing it because it hasn't been educated. So there was two options. You either berate it, in this scenario, berate the child, or you ignore the child so it carries on doing what it's always doing. Now, let's take that child reference and put the child as your unconscious mind. Number one, if you ignore your unconscious mind, it's going to keep on painting those symptoms in your life. You'll see them everywhere. You'll feel them in your body. You will experience them on a daily basis. And what you do most becomes a habit. What you think about or the way you experience life becomes you. So an identity complex like, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy now, there's who I am, I'm bad with money, I can never succeed. All those things becomes a habit because it keeps on painting those symptoms. Or number two, you may be berating that child, and in this case, it'll be berating your unconscious mind, having a conflict, saying how bad your system is, how bad you are, having this anger and hatred. Now, of course, if you have that anger and hatred, you are really harming yourself. You're driving the wedge between alignment and wholeness. You're becoming conflicted on the inside. So when you hate your issue, when you hate yourself, you do not change. It deepens a conflict and it just becomes worse. It's just that spiraling out of control, going deeper into the issue, becoming more ingrained. So the both ways, the ignoring your symptoms, ignoring the situation, ignoring those things which are showing up in your life for a reason, or the berating those reasons, berating those signals, it just deepens your conflict and you never change. Now, when we realize that child, or in this case, your unconscious mind, is trying to do something good, but that is a signal, that is a symptom that you need to pay attention to. We have an opportunity to educate, to guide and direct to how we want our body to react, or how we want that child to become and paint on that piece of paper. You have to consider that we have the three options: ignore, berate, or educate. I always go down the education route. So here's the thing, when I was doing my talk, a day before that, I was ill. So I asked my unconscious mind, I want you to allow this to be an opportunity to show all these people how they can enlighten their life, supercharge their business, and be able to become abundant in what they do with total confidence and competence in who they are as a way of being in this world. And I wanted my unconscious mind to support me in that, and guess what? I was on fire. I was calm, collected. I didn't feel any physical symptom because I was speaking and negotiating with my system. I've been doing it long enough that it actually responds to me very quickly. And that is what we must do together. You must educate your unconscious mind, direct it, pay attention. Remember, anxiety is your friend, depression is your friend because it is your unconscious mind. The limiting belief that you have is trying to support you in some way and protect you, and it's got to become your best friend because that issue can be your biggest instigator for the biggest change in the world. And I mean that, right? So, my anxiety, my deep dread, my berating self-talk of not being good enough propelled me because I paid attention and started to re-educate my system. I began to nourish it with wisdom, with the education, the processes, the strategies which work for others and replicating them in myself. Because I'm really big on strategy. Because all you're running right now is a strategy of some form. It started once, maybe when you were young, and you didn't have a conscious ability to make a better decision, or definitely an unconscious ability to make a better decision. Especially under certain stresses or significant emotional events, it's almost impossible at a young age, or even just in a traumatic situation, to make a good decision. But now as an adult, now, as someone who is listening to this message, you have that wake up. And I want you to consider now, how can I become closer? How can I get my unconscious mind to learn? Because you know there's always solutions out there. You know there are always strategies. And of course, if you want it enough, you will seek them out. Whether it be free, whether it be paid, whether it be through time, whatever it is for you, you will go on that mission to re-educate yourself. To be able to recreate yourself in a more evolutionized way, where you begin to adapt and learn and grow and become flexible in each and every situation. So as I was doing this talk, I was loving it, I was thriving on it, and it made me feel alive. And then I said to my unconscious mind, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because it causes me to help those who need it, who are going to make a big impact on the world. Now, of course, in business, they will definitely be doing that. But by you waking up to this, you will become the example to many people in your life, your children, your siblings, your parents, your friends, your boss, your colleagues, even society. When you begin to take a stand and make that decision that you're going to allow whatever you're going through to be your biggest driving force, where you can educate and propel yourself to a whole new level. And that is why I say, my friend, I am so thankful, so appreciative, full of gratitude for my anxiety I used to experience, for the dread. Because if it were not for that, I would not be living my life today. So, what can you learn from that? What can you do right now to speak differently to your unconscious mind? To harness it and redirect it to where it was meant to be. So rather just operating in that first level of safety, it actually goes to the highest level of living a life of purpose, happiness, while simultaneously being protected and safe. Think about it. Because the more you associate your issue to pain, feeling stuck, broken, and alone, you'll get more of the same. But when you change it, flip it around, and begin to educate it, it will actually work on your behalf, just like it did for me on stage, allowing me to perform and do what I do best. So what can you learn from this? Number one, do not ignore the symptoms that you are going through, because usually they get worse and worse, and then they'll stop you in your tracks bigger than ever before. And sometimes, it is a hard journey out. Number two, Do not berate your unconscious mind. Do not berate your issue. Do not have the anger and the conflict, no matter how bad it is. Instead, flip it around and instead begin to reconnect to the essence of you, the purity of you, because deep beneath all those symptoms, all those traumas, you are just pure potentiality. You are energy. You are oneness. You are perfection. You are unlimited, full of potentiality. So go ahead, make that decision today to be different, to be the example of transformation. It's all within you. So, with that in mind, I think if I can quickly look this up while I'm speaking to you simultaneously to keep you just kind of listening to each and every word while I begin to look this up for you, to keep like as if nothing's actually happening in me trying to find this for you in any way, because I'm sure you're just listening. But if you want to be able to reduce your anxiety, having found it right now, what I'd like you to go ahead and do, go to www.josephclough.info/anxiety reduced. So that's josephclough.info/anxiety reduced. Because I've got a free video right there which will immediately, within around 7 minutes and 46 seconds, I think, immediately let go or reduce your anxiety. So if you want to be able to reduce your anxiety, let go of that kind of the feeling that you're feeling. It doesn't have to be necessarily just anxiety, whatever the feeling is, but I've just said anxiety for easy purposes. But you go ahead, go to that page, josephclough.info/anxiety reduced, and you have a free video right there. You'll see a little green bar. You click that and it opens it up, and you can get a nice process to reduce your anxiety in about 7 minutes and 46 seconds. Now, if you don't have 7 minutes and 46 seconds in your time, then bloomin' well find that time. Seriously. How much do you really want to change, right? Go ahead and check that out, my friend. I hope you enjoyed this. And of course, if you want to become a Mind Mastery member, be able to elevate your business, become the person that you want, become totally congruent with your goals and dreams to live a life of financial abundance, of happiness, of well-being, all those things, I'm there to support you to make that happen. It's what I do best. It's what I love most about you and where I'm going to take you. But the only way you can do that is going to josephclough.info/mindmastery, which of course is a sponsor of today's episode. It allows it to become these episodes to be free, allows you to keep on listening to these free podcasts, and you may just get a little word with me. Let's go ahead and chat online through Mind Mastery. I'd love to be able to connect with you and personally answer your questions and give you the step-by-step system which easily and effortlessly gets what you want, how you want it, and pretty much when you want it. I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.